What's up team, welcome back to another tutorial video. In this video I'm going to be mainly going over the toolbar and the tools that I use within TradingView. So for example, you'll see a whole load of different annotations on my charts, so I'm just going to explain to you how we get those set up in the best way possible. You'll see the toolbar that I use here, which is a nice easy shortcut function rather than having to sort of go into these on the side and find the tools every time. So let's kick straight off. Simply enough, I only use a limited amount of tools. So that is the sort of crosshairs that I use. I've already explained they're pretty nice to just line up highs and lows when you're plotting stuff. Text, I use text quite a decent bit just to tell myself what time frame my analysis is on. And then as well, any sort of notations that I want to leave myself. So for example, this was only a 0.5% position. It was a re-entry in line with another re-entry that I was looking to take there as a 0.5%. So any sort of annotations or other sort of factors that you can't really see from looking at the screen, any notations that I want to leave myself, I'll leave myself in these nice text boxes. So I have my text set on this toolbar. How to actually get the toolbar up is this star in the bottom left. See that? Opens up the toolbar and not. If you've just opened up TradingView, it might be selected, it might not be. I can't remember from the very start. It was years ago when I first set up TradingView. So get that toolbar up, and then what you do is you sort of open up the left hand side menu and just click on the star next to everything to set it. So I'd go in the order that I have them, just so you can follow on nicely. So I have the crosshair number 1, the text number 2, and then within my text settings, obviously black text, you don't want it too big, but it depends what it is. If you want it something to stand out to you, you know, you can put it in bold, you can increase the size. I like having a border around it. It just makes it look neater and it stands out more to me. It just makes it feel more organized in my opinion. You can save different sort of texts if you use sort of any notations for yourself. For example, if you're starting off learning and you sort of want to remind yourself or keep yourself notes or write down the confluences that you're looking to enter trades with, you can basically, so for example, if I open up this text box and I save that as a template and save that as 2day/3 day and save that, what I can do the next time that I open up a text box is I can just quickly have that written there. For me, the only time I really write text every single trade is the time frame, and it's pretty easy for me to just like click a couple buttons. I don't need to really set presets. Whereas when I'm writing longer text boxes, it's normally like unique and dynamic to that pair at that certain time, and all the sort of external factors that you can't see on the graph will change for me over time. So I can't really set too many presets. But if you sort of want to have notation on the side, something like look for the third touch, look for EMA, previous support and resistance, and just write yourself notes out like this. You can save them, so then every time you sort of analyze a chart, you could probably load up the presets and just tick these off as a sort of checklist. You don't have to. I'm just sort of providing ways you could use this tool, but it's very useful to use the text on your chart to sort of annotate yourself with notes. Moving on, I have the long position and short positions, which you can find here. I have those saved because you know you're going to use them to plot on the chart, so it's so much easier having these there than it is having to dig them out every time. The horizontal boxes, you'll see me use these from time to time when I'm plotting out major key areas that I'm looking for. So for example, this previous high, I wanted to mark out on here just in case we need to be looking out for it in future. So in this case, if price was dumping off, you might want to look out for that as an area of support. You'll see me often use it for sort of double tops and triple tops and stuff. I don't have any examples right now, but for example, if you had a let me have a look, see if I've got it in one of these. Nope. But for example, if you've got like a double top there like that, I'd often use the rectangle to just sort of communicate that this is a flat top. So you see how that's a horizontal line. This is quite a nice a tool to just plot out zones in the chart. Same with like supports and resistances. I try to not use too much because I don't like the chart being a bit like unclean. But the limited amount of tools I do use are pretty helpful. So the box is a great one for just plotting out zones and plotting out double tops and double bottoms and stuff like that. The horizontal ray, I use these for my take profits. And also just plotting highs and lows in the markets if I really want to, maybe areas of liquidity and stuff like that. The reason I use the ray and not the line is, again, if I'm looking to the left of my chart, I don't need like these three lines taking up this space over here. So the ray is really good because it only takes up space to the right of the chart where price hasn't played out yet. And it doesn't interfere with all your analysis on previous price action. The reason I use horizontal lines for planning out my areas for entry is so that you can look back to the left and see that these were historic areas in the price. So for example here, where I look to enter there, and this one, I believe my entry for that was around 87. So I'll just plot that right on there. Yeah, 87. So here, it is important to look to the left of the chart because I'm looking for if price was used as resistance or support previously. So here we can see it was used as support. Here we can see it was used as resistance. Likewise with this position, we can see it was used as support there, kind of with the wicks coming through it. It was used as resistance there, multiple times there, and there, and there, and there. So when you're looking for entries and stuff, I do like to use the horizontal lines. I've deleted that one off because it's no longer relevant now. We're just like holding this one out for TP3. It's risk free, so I can close that one off and make my chart neater. This one I'm going to leave on just because it's the most relevant position that I've got on this pair at the moment. But yeah, there's the logic. Raise I use for my sort of take profits because I don't need to see the past action. Whereas lines, I do like to see the past action to see if the level that I'm looking to enter from was previously a key level 2, which matters for the strategy. The brush I like to use, so you'll see this in a couple of my videos. I like to sort of articulate where the EMA looks to be lining up in future, so that I can determine the best trend line that I want to use, which lines up with that EMA. So it helps to really draw it out to see where you can sort of predict price to have gone to. It's not too advanced of a tool. I mainly just use it to communicate what I'm looking for in my head. A lot of the times I'll not actually draw it out when I'm just analysing on my own. It's just for communicating to you guys. But if that does help you to visualise as a beginner, I can see how that's really useful. So it's good to have it on there. It's also good to just do sort of quick analysis of like highs and higher lows and stuff like that. So the brush tool, you're pretty flexible to use it how you want, and it can be quicker to just mark points out rather than having to like draw a box there and then draw something there and stuff like that. You can just use the brush tool to speed up time for yourself. The fib retracement tool, this is probably the most important tool for my whole strategy. So you'll see it placed here. We place fibs from the previous significant low to the previous significant high. I'll do a full video on that. I don't want to breeze over it. The fib levels that I use can be seen here. So I use the 110, the 105, the 100, 78.6, 71, 61.8, 50, 38.2, 0, and minus 23%. How you set those up: open up your fib, double tap, click style, and then you can just change. You can literally enter whatever levels you want in here, select them or deselect them, change them to whatever colors you want. I don't have a trend line on. I keep the line pretty slim. I have a dashed line for them. Don't extend any lines. Like I said, it's better to just have them neat. They're the levels that I use. They're the colors that I use. I would suggest using the same colours as me because they do have meaning. So for example, the green 71 and 78.6, this is like where we're looking to enter from. The 100 and the 0 can just stay black because that's the points that we're taking data from. The 105 and 110 I use as red because obviously that's your stop loss. The 61.8 I have as purple. I do use the 61.8 quite a lot, so I'll go over that in the fib video. Same with the 50, same with the 38.2, but I just like having these as different colours as they have different meanings. So it sort of helps to relate colours to meanings when you're doing this sort of stuff. It helps keep things organised. Might be a choice of preference, but that's what I'd recommend anyway. I'll just see if I've missed anything off there. I believe not. I think they're the bottom settings I've got. If you need to copy those at all, but I think it's pretty standard. Horizontal line I've shown. The arrow, I use the arrow just to sort of communicate. Again, I don't really use those too much myself. Maybe I do use this pathway quite a lot more when I'm sort of seeing where I think price is going to go. But that's sort of like an extension from the arrow. As you saw, you can just carry on, whereas with the arrow, it's just one arrow. I do use these more on when I'm conducting top-down analysis. So you'll see here, when I've conducted my top-down analysis, as shown here, I'm saying this is making higher highs and higher lows. This low was higher than this low, so we can expect the next high to be higher than this high. Pretty straightforward, right? When it's done on a top-down analysis perspective, it sort of gives you a bias for the market. So here you can clearly see we're looking for buys because we're expecting this high to be broken. So obviously that's only going to be achieved if we have a bullish trend. So here I've just simply plotted an arrow from this low to basically say I'm looking for price to push higher. So that's an instance of where I'd use these arrows. Trend lines, pretty straightforward. You should see from my analysis videos that I plot a trend line when I'm looking for things. A nice trick that you can use is to hold control and drag the trend line, and it will just extend it using a parallel gradient. That's a pretty cool tip. You will see me often plot a top and bottom trend line. Sometimes I don't because it's not really needed. It helps to sort of understand where price could go to within the trend. But a lot of the times you only really need the trend line that you're entering from. Because again, this isn't a science. Just because I've plotted a line there doesn't mean that price is going to reach it. Or even if price does reach it, it kind of misleads you having it on there because price might come down before it comes up and reaches it at another point in time. So it's not too important to have both trend lines on. To be honest, you only need the trend line that you're entering from. The eclipse or the circle tool, it's pretty nice to use for, I mainly use it when I'm looking for when price has reacted from EMAs. So for example, I see here I'm marking out and I'm communicating to myself in future. This is a key bit of information to understand, that price fell this far below the EMA before wicking higher. So then if I'm looking for an entry in future, I'll look for it to sort of follow the same pattern that it did in the past. Another way that I would use them is to mark out like a rejection candlestick. So for example, if I think this is a significant candlestick, which it was, I'll mark it out, and that then communicates to me in future. Again, when I come back to the chart, we've had a daily candlestick rejection, and now we're looking to sort of follow up with that in future. So for example, this trade, I had a daily candlestick rejection, so I looked to enter the trade now. This was sort of my confirmation, and that's how it's playing out now. Similar here, I had the daily candlestick rejection, and so I looked to enter at my level, got an entry, and then it played out how it played out. So all these sort of tools and annotations, as a beginner, you might think that's funny that like I'm doing it to communicate to myself in future. But like, guys, I've got like 28 different pairs that I need to look through. Sometimes you do forget, like they're all pretty similar when they're highly correlated, and you know, you're not coming back to it for a week. It might have been a long week. Don't just rely on your memory all the time. You know, it's good to have a good memory, but these tools are here for a reason. Like, it does help to annotate to yourself in the future, especially with writing text and stuff, especially as a beginner, which you guys will be if you're watching this video. So Feel free to just annotate your chart how you feel comfortable with. Don't be scared of leaving notes for yourself on the chart. Don't ever think it's stupid to do so, because you're literally helping yourself out, and that's exactly what we're here to do, right? So the Eclipse tool is pretty useful for marking out candlesticks and sort of areas of price that you want to highlight to yourself in future. The vertical line, this is not a pointless tool, guys. It helps to mark out a date. So for example, if I'm looking for an entry, let me just load up a pair here, GBP CAD. If I'm looking for an entry, let's say I've had the necessary candlestick confirmations and I'm looking for an entry at this level. Let's say I'm looking for an entry here at this level. And I tell myself, right, price is at that level. I just want to see 3 days worth of rejection. So we've had 1 there, we've had 2 there. Now this would be the 3rd day. So if I set a vertical trend line there and set an alert on that, as soon as this daily candlestick is finished, I'll be alerted, and that's me coming back to the chart after I've had those 3 days of rejection. Maybe it's not. Maybe this one wasn't a rejection candlestick. Then I'll put it to the right and keep moving it to the right. And this vertical line is a way to set reminders to yourself at set times. So you can do it on the daily, or you could even hop in at certain times of the day if you day trade and say, I'll come back to this at 2 o'clock. Set the line up, set the alert up, and then it's going to send you an alert at 2 o'clock. It's an easier way than just setting a timer or an alarm on your phone or something like that. You can actually do it in TradingView on the chart, and it will come back and literally communicate to you, GBP CAD sent you an alert at this time. So that's a good way you can sort of use the vertical line, just like I did there. Conscious that I set a line up on one of these charts. I kind of want to remove, yeah, there we go, remove that one. And then apart from that, it's the path tool, which I've kind of already showed you. So what you want to do is just go through the left hand side, star the tools that are relevant to you, which if you're learning my strategy will mainly be these. The way to toggle it on or off is in the bottom left using that star. I like to keep it down here, out of the way, doesn't take up any space on my chart. So no matter where I'm sort of moving my chart around the screen, the toolbar doesn't get in the way. And I mean, I'm not really using the time frames down here because I've got the time frames up there. So it's pretty fine to just cover up those down there. And I use this. I'm pretty in the routine now. Like, it's ingrained in my brain. I don't have to think about, oh, where's my toolbar, because I know it's there. So I'd recommend having it down there for you guys too, because it's just a very handy place to have it, believe me. So in terms of setting up horizontal alerts, so you've seen the vertical alerts. Now I'm going to go through horizontal alerts with you. So you can either click on one of your rays or lines, click on the sort of timer there, add alert, and then you can create it however you want. There's the pair. You want if it's crossing, or sometimes you might want it if it's closing. How do I set that one up? Oh, there we go. Once per bar closes for the close. So, yeah, probably want to set it up on crossing if you want it to cross over. You can trigger it for if price meets that or if it closes past that, which is quite useful in some instances. These are just the inputs. If you've clicked on the line and then clicked add alert, these will be set the way they're set. You either want it to trigger when it's hit or trigger when it's closed, or if you're really like adamant on meeting this alert, you can have it like message you every bar once per minute to alert you until you actually go to your phone and check it out. You can set expiry dates on them. I don't really use expiry dates on them, to be fair, and alerts I just keep as the default, to be honest. So that's how you set alerts from your lines, as you saw with the vertical line. What you can also do is just use this plus button on the side, have it there, add alert, and that just quickly adds a horizontal alert. So when price reaches there, I'll get a notification. If you want to hide these, you just right click on it and tick off the alert lines if it's sort of too clunky on the chart for you. And then to add it back on, you just do the similar thing. You can do all sorts of things where you change the colour of it and whatnot, but I think a black dashed line is sufficient enough, to be honest. So I believe that's all the toolbar and tools that I use. Again, my sort of trading style is very minimalistic. It's efficient. It's very sort of straight to the point. I don't really use like a million different lines on my screen. I try to keep everything to a minimal so that the price action is the higher percentage of what I'm doing. If there is any more questions about my setup or any sort of tools that you see me using in future, please reach out and feel free to just ask me directly about them, and I'll be sure to help you out with them. But I hope this was a super useful video in terms of setting up tools and toolbars and all the TradingView functions and stuff like that. Let me know what tutorials you want to see next, and until then, I'll see you next time.